Welcome back to another Table Talk Tuesday. I am here today with Foundation College Ministry Director Morgan Brendle and one of her students, Elanor Donaldson, who goes to College of Western Idaho. We're glad that they're here today. We've been taking the month of March, since we do a lot of mission spotlights, to just continue to highlight these different ministries and give us an opportunity to go a little bit more in depth, find out more information about them than they're able to share in that 10-minute period that we have on Sunday morning. So glad that you are with us today. I think this week we might have a couple more weeks after this, but we'll be going back to the doing the table talk regarding the sermon and the questions to kind of help us go deeper. But we have a couple more mission spotlights that we're going to be doing after this as well. But we're so glad that you folks are here. And so why don't you start us off by telling us the mission of Foundation College Ministry?
Yes. So Foundation College Ministry has kind of three areas. We go with build, explore, follow. So building relationships, exploring the truth, and following Jesus. And how we kind of break that down is everybody needs community in college. We all are looking for friends. So it's like, how are we building those relationships? And then the exploring truth. We always say our discussions and our Bible studies, we take the viewpoint of the Bible. So we are exploring the truth of the Bible. And then with the follow Jesus, for those who are Christians, we want to encourage and equip them to share the gospel with their classmates and coworkers and wherever they're living out life. For those who are not Christians, we just want to show them what that is. And eventually, as they are studying the truth of the Bible, that they will come to know Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. And then Elanor has a fun pitch that she's done at our tabling and stuff.
Yeah, so Foundation of College Ministry is a college club or group or organization, however you want to phrase it, where our goal is to create a safe environment for students to come and ask biblical or theological questions. College is often a time where many young adults sort of question their faith or thinking about leaving their faith or switching faiths even, and we want to create a space where they can come and they can ask those questions and really figure that out. And again, share the love of Jesus Christ because we hope that he can reach them through us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that college is that time where so many students who are growing into adulthood are really questioning, is what I've grown up with my entire life, is that my belief values? Is it easy to start those conversations, to have those conversations? Because I know a lot of people will often shy away from those conversations at times. And so have you found it easy to, especially as a student and maybe as a director also?
Yeah, I find it I would say it's probably the easiest environment that I've been in to share the gospel. Nobody has ever been mean to me about it. Many kids are open to the conversation. The most aggressiveness you'll ever get is passive aggressiveness, which isn't that bad. And you can still share the gospel even when somebody's being passive aggressive towards you. And really, again, college is about learning, and I think most students approach college with that attitude, and so they're, again, interested in learning all they can about their faith.
I get to see the mixture a little bit. So it's more of, it is that passive aggressive or just that flat out no, they don't have the time, they're in the hurry to get to where they need to go. But that's where we're getting creative and creating points that make them slow down. So that is when we can. Most of them are on their phones. And so if you can put any of your advertisements on the sidewalks, like they are reading that. So it's one way of advertising for Taco Tuesday. The other that has been a way of safe place and an encouraging way of getting those conversations started is with our sticker booth, because students love stickers. And so that kind of gives that pause, and it does take a while. And part of sharing the gospel on campus is being consistent and available and not going, hey, I want something out of you with that first conversation. And so when they realize, oh, we're just asking questions and getting to know them with the sticker booth, as the semester goes on, it kind of opens up those doors a little bit more.
Yeah. So, where does this ministry take place? What sidewalks are you chalking, and where do you set up these sticker booths? I know I mentioned College of Western Idaho. I know that they have a few different campuses. So, like, what campus do you go to, and what campuses is FCM active on?
Yeah, so we mainly work at the academic building, which is probably the main area where most kids go do their general classes. There's the art classes, think that's it.
Yes.
Science, that's another one. There's a lot of science classes in there. I personally attend school at the Micron Education Center, so I'm over there often talking with students, talking about the club, talking about God, which has helped a lot. So really it's about, we mainly work at the academic building, but wherever our members are is where we're trying to spread the gospel.
And I'm kind of clueless about the academic building and the Micron building. Where, like, geographically are these?
Gosh.
Because I know the main campus is out in Nampa, but I know that CWI also has campuses in Boise also and a couple other places. So
Yeah.
where is the academic building? Is that one out in Nampa?
Yes, that's the main Nampa campus.
Okay.
And then the Micron Education Center is also out in Nampa.
Okay.
I've only been to the Boise one twice. So I can't personally speak very
Okay.
well of the geographic location, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for
off.
everyone in Boise, we just think Nampa. I
Yeah.
know it's a big area, but we just think Nampa.
Mhm. Yeah.
It is interesting because College of Western Idaho, CWI, is spread out with the different campuses,
Yeah.
and so what is helpful is they do a 2-day club fair every semester. So we're at the academic building and at the Boise main location that they have. So like we have some other members, and most of their classes are actually on the Boise campus. So that one's fun just because they are so spread out. And then we also have a club that meets on Boise State campus. So we do go through the process to be recognized student organizations, and that allows us that space and to rent rooms on campus. But also, as you're hearing, we're very spread out. Students are living all over the valley, and so Meridian's a meeting spot, Nampa's a meeting spot. So while we're chalking the campus sidewalks for Taco Tuesday, we might not always be meeting out. So like Friday nights, any of the weekend stuff, it's like, hey, where's the coffee shop? Where's this going on? Spring's here, so where's the park that we want to all meet up at and kind of hang out? So we were in Nampa last night at a local coffee shop doing some different things. So it just kind of, like Elanor said, where students are is where we want to try to meet up and make it as convenient as possible, because traffic's getting a little busier around the valley.
Yeah.
It's harder to get here and there. So.
Yeah, students are a different breed, and I noticed that a lot of students are now just commuter students. I know when I went to college, which was a little while ago, but you know, I lived on campus all 4 years, and so it made things, you know, I was right there. A lot of students now are coordinating off-campus jobs. You know, they live not necessarily close to campus. Like some people live kind of far away, and so, you know, those are some of the unique challenges that come with campus ministry. And so, you know, what kind of regular activities do you have going on to offer them? What other big activities do you have, like, throughout the semesters that kind of allow you to hopefully bring these different students in?
I would say that our commuting students and our attitude about not being on college campus all the time is actually a strength, and it plays very well in sharing the gospel. Because again, you can do that at work, you can do that wherever you are at the school, you can do it, you know, hanging out with your friends at home, that kind of a thing. And it spreads things out a whole lot more, so we can reach more people because we have more people everywhere. So really, I think it's a good strength, and you're not stuck in your little bubble. You have to go see other people. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and so that helps a lot. But we do try and do, like, just our big main meeting club on the academic building is probably a center for that. BSU does their own club meetings on campus. I don't know, my personal favorite meeting stuff is when we're over the summer, we like do hikes, or like we just randomly meet for like fun game nights, that sort of a thing. So did you want to take it?
I was like, you fed right into it. That's where that community side of building relationships come in. It's like, hey, are we having those game nights? Are we having just those hangouts, or meeting up for dinner or something like that? But it's like, it does open up the possibilities, because it's not like, oh, it all has to happen here. We get to kind of try new things in new places. So I
Yeah.
have my favorite coffee shops in every little area.
Yeah. So often when I think of campus ministries, I think of, you know, certain things happening on certain days, and I know that there's a couple of things going on with that. I know that a number of our viewers will have been involved with different Taco Tuesdays in the past. And tell me a little bit about Taco Tuesdays and some of those regular meetings that are going on as well.
So Taco Tuesday, for anyone that's been around for a few years, used to just be called Free Lunch. And then when we moved it to the date Tuesday, it finally turned into Taco Tuesday because everyone loves a taco. And we get a lot of international students. There's some other organizations at Boise State that kind of help advertise it, just for their students to be able to come, and the idea of how do they surround them with multiple points to interact with different Christians. And so that's always fun. So yeah, it's called just Bake a Taco. It's a taco bar. It helps with all the food allergies and preferences because they get to kind of just build their own. And so that it used to be, okay, are we making enough food and hitting everyone's dietary needs? And this is like, yep, we're doing it, because they can choose what they want and go from there. So, and there's a little change up here and there. We just had a group come in, and I pulled out the meat for Taco Tuesday for them to make, and they're like, chicken. I was like, yeah, chicken's the number one meat. Like, they go through the chicken. And so, excuse me. It was just funny because when they heard taco, they were thinking something else. And I was like, nope, we do chicken tacos here a whole lot. So I've introduced many international students to fish sticks, which has been fun. And so, yeah, it's just kind of fun to see what they do and what they don't. Because I don't know what students are coming, there are certain meats that's why there's always two meats. Because some, just because of where they grew up or their personal preferences or religious preferences, don't eat every type of meat. So having some options is available, because then they can bring their friends. And that's where it's one of the major outreaches of getting to know different students on campus is, and I am always surprised because there is a local church that gives us their building to use, and it's just off campus, but it is a church building. And so it's like so many of them are walking into an American church for the first time. And so just allowing them to come in and be fed and be loved is a fun way of kind of spending a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you like built those relationships over the course of the semester, and have you seen some of these students at other activities other than Taco Tuesday?
Yes. So the Biblical Study Center, that's also located just off campus at Boise State, does a Thursday lunch. So a lot of crossovers there. So it's fun to like see them on Tuesday. And I might just say hi or something, but if I can make it to a Thursday as well, that's where the longer conversations come. And just, again, the hellos and furthering it on. But yes, I've walked between the sticker booth and Taco Tuesday. If I'm walking along campus, I'm like, hi. Everyone's like, how do you know them? Like this or that. Like those are those two meeting points. It's not like I'm knowing everyone. It's just you run into those people as you continually get to see them and know their faces. And so that's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. And one of the things that I tell the people who come and volunteer at Taco Tuesday, I've been at a number of them now, but I like to be there because it frees up Morgan to not have to be in the kitchen, and that opportunity to go and talk to the students and build those relationships. And so, you know, it's a way for us that we can partner with FCM and just do a little bit. And it's not hard to put a taco on a plate and serve up some meat, do a little bit of cleaning, because if she's there by herself, sometimes she's cleaning till, I might exaggerate a little bit, let's say 4 o'clock, even though it ends at 1 o'clock. But you know, with more hands there, it makes it a lot simpler. And so, what are some of the other like regular activities that you folks have going on? I know you mentioned some of those different meeting places, but what are some of the other regular ones that you have going on?
So I'm gonna have you explain that a little bit more. Clarify that
regular
question.
Meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
I thought that's where you're going, but here we are. So our Boise State group meets on Thursday nights, and the last fall and this fall we've just really been going through different questions like, hey, you've heard these, because most of them that are coming have grown up in the church. It's like, okay, you've heard these answers, but do they actually answer your question? Or are they kind of just hey, I'm done talking, here's just a church answer? Kind of, I don't know. When I grew up in Sunday school, it was always like, if you didn't know the answer, just say Jesus. And that covered everything. And so that's kind of where they're at. They're going, hey, all right, yes, God has a plan for me, but how does that now relate as I'm choosing my major and my job, and like, where's it going? It's like, okay, let's dive into really how to figure that out. the last couple weeks we've actually been going over spiritual warfare. Like, what is it, how to recognize it, and then what do you do about it? And so it's just kind of bringing that practical side in, but also going, okay, culture says this, the church says this. What does the Bible say? And so and it's just been interesting because most students that are coming to our FCM group nights are going to different churches. And so they come from different backgrounds. And so it's just been fun to see their different viewpoints, which helps when someone that does come that doesn't have the same backgrounds. They're like, we're not all the same. Bring your viewpoint. Let's discuss it. And then, yes, we all have our personal ideas, but again, what does the Bible say? Let's root it in that part. So Thursday nights, right now we're meeting upstairs in the Brink room, which every semester it changes where we meet on Boise State because we just apply for next one. And then we're in room 303 at College of Western Idaho.
Top floor.
Which is the workout, because 2.5 floors is fine. It's that last little section of stairs.
They don't have an elevator?
They do. It's called stairs. Going down's easy. So yes, those are just kind of those weekly. Those are kind of set things, and then everything else. There's always a fun event, like those hangouts that are monthly.
Mm-hmm.
If I have my way, we get an Idaho adventure in every so often, and if you've when you hang out around me and you go on a road trip, they turn into adventures. There's a wrong turn somewhere. I took a wrong turn getting here today, and I've lived here and come this way many times. I got here. It's just like, oh, I was a few blocks farther than I wanted to be. But it just makes it fun. But it's also culture. It's like, hey, we love to hike. We love to explore. And it's gathering those people. I personally love hikes or a bonfire or something. You start that conversation and you never know where it's going to go. And they're, I don't want to say trapped, but they're there for a moment. Like they chose to be there. But when you're on a hike, you're on the hike. It's not, you don't have the other distractions of life. And most of the time, if you go up the mountain, you don't have the greatest cell service. So
That's true.
So you're not.
I don't really speak from experience since I don't hike much, but yeah.
We also
So I've heard.
we also have a Discord that we often chat on, and that's where we communicate a lot of our sort of abnormal events where people are like, oh, let's go.
I don't know what Discord is, and I think a lot of the
yeah.
viewers might know. What is Discord?
Discord is a messaging system that uses primarily the internet. So instead of like normal messages, it's a online app, and then you just people have their different profiles, and you can invite or kick out if you want to somebody from your group, that sort of thing. It works just like a normal message system.
Okay.
But it's more like, what is it? It's like a code to join the group. So you don't have to have people's phone numbers. You just scan the code, and then you get into the group. And then your little profile is there.
Okay. Now, how about you, Elanor? What are some of these different ways that you've personally been involved this past semester or the previous semesters?
So this semester is probably my first semester acting as like official president of the club at CWI, not the BSU section.
I should have introduced you as Madam President.
It's not that official. I handle most of like the like paperwork and the meetings and getting registered, communicating with the school on like what sort of events we want to do, our funding, so forth. We just got registered, so we're working our way into like figuring out what events we need to request funding for, how we're going to work into the next semester, that sort of a thing. So I'm more of like the planning side, but I do love to come to the events when I can. So yeah, I would say the events are very fun. I've been to the Friendsgiving this last year. I go to the weekly meetings. I try to communicate on Discord. I'm not very good at it though. But yeah, I think that's great.
So those weekly meetings, I think it's such a fascinating topic, just taking all of these church answers that aren't really answers sometimes. Was there any of those for you that were just a revelation? And it's like, oh, I never thought of it that way, and it just opening your eyes?
I wouldn't say like a direct answer to a question, but I would say that my mind has been opened by talking to many other students. I think a lot of people have very stereotypical views of Christians, especially on a college campus. It's like, oh, the Bible thumping conservatives that, judge you and, can't ever do anything right? Which is not true. And I think that many students show that. And when you actually communicate with students from different churches or even different religious views, you can communicate that to them, and it's been life-changing to talk to other students and engage with them in that way.
Yeah, so breaking down the stereotypes, getting past that, and that's part of what building relationships is about, is to realize that, hey, it's not just about that. You know, you mentioned Bible thumping. I remember when I was in college, I had another friend who was a Christian, a different denomination, and she asked me, "Oh, what denomination are you?" It's like, "Oh, well, I'm Baptist," and her first reaction was, "Oh."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, I'm Southern Baptist," and she's like, "Oh, that's even worse." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, you folks are known as the Bible thumpers," and I didn't have a response for it at the time, but later I was like, "Huh, isn't that how it's supposed to be?" Aren't we supposed to like go according to the Bible?
Yes.
And that's where we should be finding our answers, and you know, to have those opportunities to find the answers there, to dig in with others who, you know, are searching for that same truth, that same purpose. I think that's exciting to do that, and you know, I get a chance to do that every week in Sunday school. I'm glad you folks get an opportunity to do that as well. And so we talk about your regular weekly meetings. What are some of the big events that you really look forward to and plan for throughout the year?
So currently we're coming up with new ideas for bigger events. Right now we're planning a a henna tattoo booth, which is a it's not permanent. It's a marker that you draw
Temporary
on people.
tattoo.
Temporary tattoo. Thank you. That's the word. And we're gonna set up a booth, and we've done trainings where we've trained people on many artists in our group on how to draw with these pens. And the goal is to just get students to come up to our booth and to just engage, to talk. And we do other booths as well. We do a sticker booth. I've had a couple ideas for like a lifting booth where we like get a barbell and some weights out there and we challenge people to lift, because that's a hobby of mine. We're still figuring out that one. We do annual events like Christmas parties, Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving. Yeah, Easter I think is one. Do we do any Easter events anymore?
Not this year.
Not this
but
year.
Or so often.
Okay.
The other main one is fall retreat, which I love. As Eleanor said, we have a lot of artists in our group, and so every year they get to design a new hoodie or a t-shirt, and so that would be the big kickoff for the fall, and then kind of ends more of Friendsgiving is that next one. So springs here and there, with spring break kind of halving it, but.
Now you're telling me about the tattoos a little bit in the past, and the purpose, you know, getting them to talk to you, but I think you were telling me that there's like a story behind the tattoos.
Yes. So that idea of henna is storytelling, and so we have some ideas that another group has given us, designs, and it also comes with a Bible story. So the one that we've kind of been focusing on is creation to Christ, and so it goes through the gospel of sin, why Jesus had to come, and why he had to die, and what that means for us. And so through that pattern, so one person is creating the pattern, the other person is telling the story and talking to the person, and so it just allows the gospel to be shared.
That's just a creative and innovative way to share the gospel, and you know, and they'll have that reminder on their arm for how long does the henna tattoo last for?
A week or two.
A week.
Yeah.
Depends on how hard you scrub.
Yeah.
Depends on how good your soap is.
How good your hygiene is.
You leave it on longer, it darkens and stays longer. So if you don't want it as on, well, there's the design, take it off. It won't be as dark. So.
Now, tell me, Elanor, how did you personally get involved with FCM?
I started going to Central Valley Baptist Church in Meridian 2 years ago, and I switched from a Methodist church, which was a great choice. My father was the one who like pushed us to go to a new church, and really there was where I started to fall in love with the Bible. And I had some teachers in Sunday school who I very much looked up to. One, her name is Debbie Boone, and she introduced me to Morgan here, who attends our church. Morgan she helps run the clubs, and she was like, hey, I need a president. I need somebody who can, you know, engage with students, who goes to the school. Would you be interested? And I was like, on a whim, like, yeah, sure. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Still,
but I'm glad
good
I got
answer.
into it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Morgan? Because you're not from around here.
No, I was born and raised in Oklahoma, for those who haven't. So if some words slip out, I apologize. I will translate later. But So my short story of how I got out here was I was praying about where to move, and as that process was happening, I met people from Idaho in Oklahoma at a church camp. And one of those people just happened to be Debbie Boone. And so she didn't know it at the time. She's like, hey, you should come visit Idaho. I think you'll really like it. I was like, how does she know I'm looking to move? And so I came to visit, fell in love, and went back to Oklahoma, put in a month notice at that point, and moved on out. But how I got connected to FCM was through volunteering. So came out here, didn't have a job, was looking for a job, was working part-time, and I was like, so I have time on my hand, what do I do? And back in Oklahoma, I was very involved with church, so it's like, okay, let's go volunteer. So I started volunteering with the youth group, which then got me connected a little bit to the college and the previous director for FCM. And through that, it's like, well, there's Taco Tuesday or free lunch at the time from Central Valley. And I was like, well, that's my day off. Let's go. And so I actually got my first connection was through free lunch and going to serve. And then through that, it was, hey, do you need any more help? And they're like, yeah, come on over. So I started going to the weekly gatherings, and from there, my first trial run of do I want to come on staff was fall retreat. I went that weekend and just fell even more in love with students, and just this time period is just fun. I love being able to go to and be involved with college without the homework side of it. So that's a whole lot of fun.
I always used to think to myself, oh, college would be great if it wasn't for the homework and the tests.
There's the work side of it now, but it's like, oh, where do I take my office? Let me load up what I need and go to campus and work from the student union building or wherever I'm at, or a local coffee shop as I'm going to meet with a student. And so it's just fun. So part of my story is, and people laugh, is the fact of how many coffee shops I go to. I don't like coffee. And I've learned to love tea.
Be careful, that's blasphemous for some.
I fully understand that. I hide that as much as possible until everyone starts offering me coffee. I was like, I don't like it, sorry. Peer pressure is not going to work anymore on that one. And so because I used to was like, why would you go to a coffee shop if you don't like coffee?
Conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We've had girls' Bible studies for FCM there in the past, gathering. I was like, hey, well, this is our central spot. Let's go to this coffee shop. And so I just find it funny just from my past of knowing where I've come from. And I came from small town Oklahoma. The coffee shops were the donut shops or the gas stations. So it wasn't like the hangout spot unless you were over 60/retired. So it just didn't happen. But so yeah, that's how I got involved, was through volunteering, and then was asked to come on staff and went through that process.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear your story. And how did Debbie know to ask you that question? She didn't. God did.
She doesn't remember that conversation. It was after the 5K. I was trying to get a little fruit in me, because it was, if you ran the 5K, it was quickly the next thing. And we all, I joined in, and I was like, okay. And she just plops down in the chair next to me, because I was sitting at the table by myself trying to scarf down something. She's like, hi, we've gotten to know each other the last 2 days. You should come visit. She has no recollection until I called her up going, so I would like to come visit. Can I stay at your house? Because that was also part of the conversation. Was, hey, if you want to come visit, you can stay with us. So she picked me up from the airport with her husband, and that was has been a great friendship, and where I lived when I first moved out here for a few months until I found a spot.
I don't know Debbie, but thank you to Debbie for helping to bring Morgan here.
So, yeah.
And so now, what is your vision for moving FCM forward?
Yeah. So part of it is, again, equipping the students that are wanting to, and I say this very hesitantly, want to be involved, because we have a lot that I call just kind of are connected and come to things here and there, but then you have ones like Elanor who are like, what else can I do? And it's like, okay, I've kind of been holding her back a little bit, because we've been going through this process of trying to get registered and doing everything, and she's had all these great ideas. I'm like, I'm ready, just 1 second. And so now it's trying to let the floodgates out, you're ready, let's go. And so doing that, but in a way growing the group, going, how are we inviting those in? And that's just a way of encouraging and equipping and just really putting that work back on the students. I'm getting to the point I don't quite quite pass as a student anymore, at least the first round. I'm close. Older student, sure. Non-traditional, sure. And so getting them to actually invite their friends. So it's like, hey, what events will you invite friends to? And then, yes, being a little bit more bold. So like with Sticker Booth, the change has happened to where those questions, if we have time to continue, are based in a biblical question. So this past week was, how do you handle fear? Which is a big one on campus, but it's like, hey, as a Christian, how do you handle it? And so every so often, when they have time, they'll ask us, and we get to follow that up. It's like, hey, I pray. Why do I pray? Because this is where my hope is found. It's like being able and ready to answer that. So that vision is, hey, let's take it from just being that hangout group and, yes, talking about the Bible, to inviting those in, and thus sharing the gospel and seeing more students come to know Christ as their personal Lord and Savior. The big dreams. I would love to see FCM at some different colleges that are in the area. The Valley and the state is growing. We have some partners that are down in Utah. We all go by different names, and so I know that they're there. But in Idaho, there's not as many campus-based. There's many church-based ones, which is wonderful. But when you're a church-based, you don't always have the same access to campus, and that's where we kind of, FCM comes in as that middle ground, like, hey, we'll be that mission team, that side, because, I mean, when you're looking at those campuses, they're a mission field. So it's like, how are we seeing those colleges as a mission field? How do we get a church connected, and then how can we get a group on? And so that's kind of the bigger picture.
Yeah, so you're currently at Boise State University and CWI, and so you're looking at getting into some of the other ones, and that's kind of the big dream. And you know, I think college ministry is just so amazing because it's a training ground, and you know, you get to talk about all these different international students that are coming to different things.
Yes.
You get the opportunity to share the gospel with them. If you know, you're able to tell them that gospel message and they receive Jesus Christ, they become missionaries now that can go all over the world. Just tell me some of the countries that these students come from.
I know, that's my little tagline, is I get to go around the world on Tuesdays for lunch and without leaving. But right now we have Japan, South Korea, Nepal, Colombia. Oh, and there's another South American country that I cannot think of at the moment, but because there's 2 Spanish-speaking ones.
And then you got, I think Iran is in there.
Oh, yes.
And I think maybe a couple other countries in the Middle East. So yeah, there's just amazing opportunities just to see that the gospel message move forward, and that's part of what college ministry is. And so yeah, and what about you as president, as a student, how do you hope to see the gospel move forward?
I would hope that FCM doesn't just become a training ground for many young Christians, but also a home. I've been to 3 different colleges before I finally found peace at CWI and was like, okay, I can learn here, and this is something that I want to go forward with. And as I pitched in one of our meetings where I was trying to get the club registered, a lot of these colleges have a lot of areas where they try to help students' physical health and their mental health, but there's a lack of spiritual health. And so it's almost like an imbalance. And you can feel that, I think, on campus, is that many of these students, they aren't healthy spiritually, and they need help, and they want that help. And so I would hope to create a space that's not only training them on how they can get that help and how they can give it, but also a place where they can feel it. And that's my goal. And I keep spitting out ideas like, what if we did this, and what if we did that, and oh man, we could reach people by doing this cool thing, but I often don't have the funds or like the means to get it done. And I would hope that someday we can grow FCM to be a club where they can easily go and reach out to many different people who have the means to do said things. That way we can reach all kinds of different people.
And so I know our church, Pierce Park Baptist Church, we are currently a partner with FCM. And who else partners with FCM? Would you consider like you don't need to name every single one, but sort of your biggest partners, especially here in the Valley?
So a variety of area churches, especially in the Treasure Valley Association, are partners with us, either financially or people or supplies, and then individuals. So there's a handful. I would say it's about half Oklahoma, half Idaho that are individuals helping. It's been fun seeing and making those friends here and going, hey, here we go. I was also on the phone and trying to give the information out to somebody else in Oklahoma. So it's when your family's still there and they still keep up with this, that, and the other, it's about there. So.
And if you didn't know, Foundation College Ministry, often known as BCM, Baptist Collegiate Ministry, throughout the rest of the United States, this is actually a Southern Baptist parachurch organization.
Correct.
So it works alongside with the Southern Baptist churches. So this is our ministry. You know, that's why we partner with them, because this is our ministry. And so, you know, how can people get involved in this ministry?
Yeah. So one, come help serve at Taco Tuesday. It's there for you. Especially if you don't cry cutting onions. That's a great job description right there. But come talk to students, love on them. The other, if you'd like to sign up for our newsletter so you know how to be praying for us and you know the different things coming on, you'll get to see pictures of current students and the things that we're up to, along with kind of what's coming next to be praying for. And then, yes, if you're like, hi, I have this idea. I would love to talk to students, and you just kind of have a heart for college students. Guest speaking. Fall retreats one. Also, every so often, I cannot be in two places at once, and we are on two campuses, so every so often it's nice to have somebody else come in as a guest speaker. The goal is, I mean, I'm not always speaking. Sometimes it's students, but it's just nice sometimes to have somebody else from the community come in and share their knowledge and wisdom with these students and your story. And because when they get to hear what you did and where you are as a Christian and see where you've gone in life, it's like, oh, all of a sudden you're more tangible, and all of a sudden the bigger size of the church community doesn't seem so scary. And it's like, oh, you guys are there. So that connection point of coming and being a guest speaker is also available.
Breaks down the stereotypes that we were talking about earlier. And we'll have a lot of the information down below in the description, and so you can, you know, take a look at those, see different ways. You can talk to me. I work with Morgan on the board, and so I have more information than most. But we'll have different contact information, different things if you want to know more about what's going on. Anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to share?
Not that I can think of.
We've done it. If not, join the newsletter and you'll find out the extra stuff that I might have shown. One prayer request I will say, and I'll mention, we'll have mentioned it when speaking to you. We do have a mission trip coming up in May, and I have 2 students that I'm taking down there. And what's fun about these is I'm usually taking one person on their first mission trip, and that's happening again. So the students are Damaris and Kira. If you'll be praying for them. Kira went last year with us, and so excited to take her down again, and then also Damaris on her first time. But that idea of fundraising and finding people to be on their prayer team and things like that, it's still new to them. So if you'll just be praying for us as we kind of prepare for that mission trip.
All right, well, let me close this in prayer. Lord Jesus, we thank you for the time where we can discuss what's going on the campuses with Foundation College Ministry. We ask that you continue to bless Morgan in the direction that you are leading her, and for Elanor and the ideas that she has, Lord, pray that you can bring them to fruition, bring them to realization, to reach people with the gospel message and provide them with a home. We lift up this Mexico mission trip that they have coming up in a couple of months, Lord, and we just pray especially for Damaris, and we pray for, tell me the other name?
Kira.
For Kira. As they get ready to go down, Lord, that you just prepare them for whatever work that you have for them, and that you be with Morgan and leading them also. We just lift up FCM to you on all the different campuses, and we pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us for Table Talk Tuesday. Look forward to seeing you next week.